So let me create now parameterized constructor. So that was non-parameterized constructor. Now let's assume that you want to, whenever you want to create the car, you say, no, 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 I want to have the make, I want to fill the values while I'm creating my car, right? So I don't want to have these values. I, I want to have my own values, right? So, and I don't want to fill in this way. That's why I said to fill the values, there are three different ways. One is through constructor, one is by parameterized constructor, one is by this dot thing, and one is by function. That we'll see later on. Through function also you can fill these values. But what I was saying is, now I want to say, hey, my new car it should be 2020 model and the color should be red, right? And I'll delete this thing as of now. Now I want to display. I want to display the detail of my car. Okay. Let's run this program. What will happen this time? The values are still those things, right? Because you are not using this X and W here. So basically you are saying my make should be X, because the value which you will pass 2020 will go to the X, and you want to say, okay, my make will be X and the color will be W. It's like this. This red will go to the W, right? Now, if we will see what will happen, let's see. This time, if you will see, it's showing you 2020 red color. Why it's showing is automatic as false? Because by default it is false. Why it is showing number of bags are 2? Because by default it's 2, right? It's like this. By default means you are putting it. You have passed 2 values. You didn't pass rest of the 3 values, right? That's why it's keeping it this. Okay. So let's understand what will happen in the background. When you say car 3 is a new car, it will say, okay, find out a constructor which will accept these 2 values. Fine. So it will find out, okay, this one. 2020 will go to X, red will go to W. Fine. Then it will say, okay, you are saying make is equals to X, means car 3 dot make is equals to X, which is like you have passed it 2020. Car 3 dot model is equals to W. So that is basically red. Car 3 dot model is equals, sorry, color is equals to W. Model is equals to null. Car 3 dot is automatic is false. Car 3 dot number of bags is equals to 2. You are not passing it, but still it will happen because you have mentioned it here. Okay. So what will happen? Your question will be, what will happen? Let's say I don't want to do this thing. What will happen now? Right? You will get
So
to know what will happen.
null
Okay.
values, default values
So
will be assigned, I guess.
which it will show number of airbags as 2? No, it's showing me number of airbags as 0.
Yeah.
Why?
So basically integer value assigned a default value as 0 and in
Yes,
string got the nulls.
correct. By default, even if you will not provide, Java will put integer as 0 if it is integer here for the number of airbags. Okay.
Yep.
So this is parameterized constructor. Now, your question was when to use it, when not to use it. It's very simple. When to use it, when you want to initialize the class level variable. When not to use it, actually, this question is not applicable. Nobody will ask you. The thing is, maybe interviewer can ask you to confuse this, but basically, we should use constructor, right?
Hmm.
Whenever you have class level variables, we should make constructor, right? I'm not saying mandatorily, but if you are working with the real world entity, you should make constructor. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Only applicable when we want to initialize with some other values instead of default, because default constructor would always be there and that would assign the values to 0 and null as well. So if we want to assign some default values from our end, then basically we need
Yeah.
to create a constructor.
Yes. Yes. So let's not say default value. So let's say in a very technical word, when we want to initialize the values, okay,
Mhm.
on
Yeah,
our own, yes,
right.
then we should create constructor. Fine.
Okay.
Now, so this is the way to create parameterized constructor. What was your question? This and what is super? Now the thing is, what is this keyword? Now the question is, what is this? You must have heard about this. So basically, what Java or object-oriented programming, they suggest that whenever you are creating the object, right? Whenever you are working with any object and you are creating multiple objects, here car1 is also there, car3 is also there, right? So it's better you use this keyword. So this will resolve the ambiguity that where you are. So I am putting it here, this dot make. Instead of saying just make, I will say this dot color. I'll tell you why. It will be this dot model. It should be this dot and it should be this dot. Why? Because you are creating multiple objects. You are creating car1, you are creating car2, you created here one more car here, you created here also, you created here also. Right? Now, when you are saying car3 is equals to new car, and you're passing these two values, right? So there should be no ambiguity that these values should be set for the car3. Okay. So this keyword resolves this issue that when you are saying this, it will understand that we are talking about the current object. Okay. We are talking about the new object which is created. So when you say new car, this one, new car 2020, this, so what will happen? It will create one, what we say, the photocopy of these variables, correct? And it will combine it to make car3 as I made in this picture. When you say create car2 or car3, it will copy this, the left hand side, this is a class, and it'll make a copy of this, blank copy of this. Now you want to fill the values. So when you are filling the values through the parameterized constructor like this, there should be no ambiguity that it will go to the car3 or the car2, because the right hand side will be assigned to the left hand side later on, right? First it will create this object, right? So as of now, with the new object, it wants to keep the color, the whatever value you are passing, right? This thing, these two things, 2020 and red for make and color, it will go with this and it will override the values, right? It will not have the default values. So whatever you're passing, it will go to the current object. Here it should also be this. So this refers to the current object. Anybody who will ask you, what is this? What is this keyword? So you should say this is the reference to the current objects. Simple. Okay. Fine. Here also, when you are saying make and model, if you are anything where when you are working with the class level variables, you should use this keyword. Okay, fine. Now what is super? Super is a keyword which will call parent constructor. It's very simple. So it's better that I have talked about the inheritance here. Maybe I have talked here in session 32, but in simple word, the super, concept will come when you have inheritance. Okay. So there is a class A and class B, and you want to call the constructor of the parent class from the child class, you will say simply super. Let me show any example if I'll have. Hold on. I must be having something here. Hold on. Java, Java. Yes, parent. Okay. Because as you asked this, let's create a simple program now where you will understand what is super class and what is child class and what is super keyword, just to understand that. So I'm creating a class here in the check. Let's create a class. I'm creating a class. Let's keep it like any random name. I am giving, let's say, Tommy. Tommy or Tom. That's it. I'm creating Tom. Fine. And Tom has one constructor. Tom class has a constructor. And here I'll say system.out.println. Hi. Fine. Let's create another class. And the class name is Tom's child. Okay. Tom's child. Fine. So there are two classes. One is Tom and one is Tom's child. This is Tom class. This is Tom's child. There should be no confusion. Fine. And Tom's child is extends Tom. Okay. So Tom's child may have its own constructor also. So Tom's child will have its own constructor and which says, hey, done. Now, when I will create the object of Tom's child as per the definition of constructor, automatically this function should be called. Correct? Automatically this function should be called this Tom's child because you are creating one function object. So constructor will be called automatically if it has a constructor here. Fine. So if I'll run this program, it will print me hey. See here, it's printing hi and hey both. It's not just printing hey, it's printing hi and hey both. Now the question is why it is happening like this.
Because it extends the parent class, so that's why it creates using the child class object, so it will also call the parent class constructor as well.
Yeah. So by default, when you create child's object, it will call it. Okay, first it will jump here. It will jump here basically. But then it will check, oh, I am a child of Tom. So let's go to the constructor of parent class, do the thing, whatever is here, and then come back and do our own thing. It's like this. Okay. But let's assume that you want to call explicitly to your parents constructor, then you will say super. Okay, then you can say super. Hold on. Hmm,